You are watching Caught for Two, broadcasting live from Champaign, Illinois, September 12th, the morning of September 13th at 1 a.m. And you're joining me for turn 10 of the Murders by Mail game LA.Noire Hollywood, Bloom of Hollywood. And I noticed something in the chat. Jonathan and Anna are here as usual. And Anna says, had a birthday last weekend, but I was busy with root canal, so I'm treating this weekend's West End play as my present. I feel like, so there's name day and birthday. Feels a bit like a stretch. Like you're getting presents twice a year from your name day. Now I see what kind of scam name day was. Because it kind of sounds like it's your birthday, but really it's everyone's birthday. All right, but we're going to play West End Adventures anyway. And Jonathan has joined us for this one. The reason we're going to play West End Adventures next weekend is because I want to test my OBS plugin and see how it works for playing Sherlock Holmes. And it says, don't forget Christmas too. And we have Jonathan Jang is here. All right, so we played the Sherlock Holmes case, turn 10, about 2 hours ago, and it was a very underwhelming turn. We're basically starting to retread over information and not gain much new. Let's remember where we left off this case. Where we left off this case was we stumbled onto our side case. The paper is talking about fire in docks. A container was burned. We think we've known for a long time that the sister probably did this. We tracked down Julio, the boyfriend. He escaped. So we thought, okay, while we're waiting for something to pop off with the sister and her boyfriend, let's track down this side case. Went to the fire department. They pointed us to, fire department. That was our last set of replies. He says, hey, the cops think might be gangsters smuggling in guns or heroin from Burma, but we don't have much information. At that point, we said, aha, okay, there's our tie-in with gangsters. Remember that in the beginning of this case, the gangsters were the prime suspects. And we quickly latched on to the sister. So we didn't pursue many of our gangster follow-ups. And now it looks like the gangsters could be involved in smuggling guns and heroin side case. So on our last turn, what we did was we sort of doubled down on this side case stuff. We sent Bev to the Brown Derby where the gangsters hang out. And then we sent Bill Knight and Naomi to some of our informants, the cop informant and the crook informant. And we're hoping that they can get information on the gangsters. Okay, anything else we need to catch up on before we read our replies for today? The informants and the Brown Derbies. I think that's the only. The Brown Derby is the only gangster one I can remember not going to yet, but there may be others. Jonathan Jang said, "I just got Sherlock in the mail and did my second turn. Okay, that's interesting. I'd be curious what your take is on the end to hear how you play it." We're going to have to decide quite soon how we want to end these playthroughs, because in both playthroughs now we have a pretty good, I won't talk about it because Jonathan is here and is not caught up, or don't want to spoil anything, but we have to decide at what point we've got enough information. The game doesn't give us that much guidance to that. But you do notice that the back of these is an envelope to open, and the online thing doesn't know when we've opened it. So presumably when we think we're done, we'll open that envelope and we'll probably get questions we're supposed to answer. And at that point, we can keep submitting. If we decide we don't have enough, we can go back and keep looking. So we may be opening those end of game envelopes soon to see what kinds of questions it wants us to answer. And I'm just going to say Tina and Tina Loga. You could compare if the answers were the same despite the order. Could compare if the answers were the same despite the order. Not sure what that means. All right, let's open our replies. We went to informants. We went to the gangsters hangout. Oh, with Jonathan, yes, it will be interesting to see if we get different. It will be. Oh, that's a great point. Okay, despite the order, maybe what you're saying, which is a great question, is if Jonathan sends different people to the same places we went, it will be interesting to see how the replies are different depending on who you send where. That would be very curious. Okay, so we sent Bill Knight to his LAPD friend. We sent Naomi to the nightclub to meet one of our informants, and Bev went to the gangster hangout. One thing that was a little disappointing with our last playthrough of this, and obviously you should start there if you haven't seen that yet, is we sent Bill Knight to confront the boyfriend because he's the army vet, he's got a gun, he's the tough guy. Like, how did Julio get the drop on him? That was very disappointing. I mean, whoever we sent, I think he was gonna escape. But I wanted more from Bill McKnight. He's gonna have a hard time explaining how he let the prime suspect get away. Okay, here's Bev. Went to H38 like you asked. I get to the Derby a little after lunch, decide to get a little nosh while I'm there. Their Swiss steak lunch is worth every penny. When the waiter comes for the plate, I give him a story about how I'm visiting from Poughkeepsie and how exciting it is to be in the real Brown Derby, and my sisters back home will never believe it, and has he ever served anyone famous? He's happy to share some stories, and after a couple of nudges, I ask about Violet York. She was in here the week before she died, he says. We haven't traded names, but his tag says Don. Oh, she's talking. We haven't traded name, but his tag says Don. He lowers his voice like we're in cahoots. Some drunk guy was mashing on her, and when she told him off, he flipped his wig. Started calling her names, saying he'd kill her, bash her head in, take her, well, really awful stuff. He had to call the cops. Somebody said he was some kind of gangster. Something Rosselli. Yeah, that's one of our suspects. The son and the father are both gangsters, Rossellis. I made a shocked face. You think he's the one who killed her? Don shrugs. I keep expecting to see his mugshot in the paper. A mook like that, though, he probably ran off to Mexico. Gosh, you'd think a famous actress like her wouldn't be here all by herself. Oh, she wasn't alone. She was here with another lady. Maybe his sister or cousin or something. They looked a lot alike. He leaned in. Funny thing was, if not for her, there might not have been any trouble. Miss York wasn't saying much, but the other gal, she just couldn't keep her yap shut. I left Don a 50-cent tip on a $1.50 bill. We rubes from Poughkeepsie love a good story. So, her sister was in here with her. Interesting. I mean, it doesn't really help her, but the other gal, she couldn't... This paper is awfully weird. It's like waxy paper. It doesn't want to get written on by my normal pens. Okay. It's a color printer process they're using for these. Okay, so the sister was with her in this club, making trouble. Getting her in trouble. Okay, so more Rosselli. More Rosselli, and the sister was here with her. Very interesting. I guess that would mean that the gangsters should know about this sister a little bit, huh? Sister must have decided it was time to finally finish her off and fake an attack after causing the threat from the gangster. Remember when we talked to Rosselli, he says something a little weird, and we actually raised this at the time. Let's look at that old discussion we had with him. Because I remember talking about, here, look, it was the first place we went, and look what he says. Nicky Rosselli and his mooks were there at this gangster restaurant. We confront Nicky. We push him around. It's Bev again. That's who we send to these gangster joints, is Bev. You ain't so strong for a tough guy, I say. Don't you know who I am, you crazy broad? I'll kill you. Like you killed Violet York? All of a sudden, fight goes out of him like blowing out a candle. What? What are you talking about, he says. Violet York? The actress got her head bashed in the other night. I'm thinking from some two-bit punk who wanted to punch above his weight. Like you didn't know. He goes, oh no, not Violet, not her. He slumps and looks like he's gonna bawl. I didn't know what to expect, but that sure wasn't it. He completely zones out. I let him go and he just sags against the wall. Didn't move, didn't say nothing as I walked out. So we don't think he did it. This guy's talking about the gangster that threatened her. So we think he's probably talking about this guy, not the father. He threatened her, but he was surprised she died. I was just saying, like, now we know she was with the sister. And I remember when we read this, I thought, oh no, not Violet, not her. Like maybe he was thinking like the other one was, the sister was supposed to get killed. And I don't think that's it, but I'm fairly sure it's not it. I mean, I think we know she was getting poisoned and all that. But you could imagine, yeah, we know she didn't die from the head wound. We know that was post-mortem. So I was just trying to think other ways that the gangsters may have killed the other woman, but that's not how it worked. But we haven't talked to the father yet. We've had 2 conversations with the son. And when we talk to that guy, he doesn't mention the sister. So I don't think we're going to get more information about the sister being here. I think this is just the game's way of nudging us towards the sister. I don't think there's any other useful information here. The sister's getting her in trouble and is a bad influence. And it says, looks like Poppy was baiting the gangster, making him a suspect. Yeah. I agree. All right. So, but nothing else actually really there for us. All right, here's Bill McKnight. Let's see if he can redeem himself a little bit. LAPD Southern Division, Malcolm Andrews. Mal Andrews doesn't look like a typical cop. Short and slender with glasses and a big salt and pepper mustache. He gives off the feel of a bewildered old grandpa, but it's a lie. The eyes behind those lenses don't miss anything. He greeted me with a firm handshake in the front of the clubhouse and led the way to one of the interview rooms. I take it this isn't a social call, he said, closing the door and leaning against it. Business hours and whatnot. I'm afraid not, but this shouldn't take long. I just wanted to see if there's any department scuttlebutt you could share on the Violet York murder. His mustache shifted as he pursed his lips. That actress? Well, hell, Will, that's a front page case. Arson got most of it down in the ink. It's a Burke McGinty case, up Hollywood Division. Bit of bull, but sharp, though. I hear he's looking hard at Nick Rosselli. Handsome Johnny's kid. He and the York girl had some kind of history. Made a scene at the Brown Derby a few nights back. That's what we were just asking about. So he figures for it. Sure does, young hothead punk, he said, and the whiskers shifted again. Although... What? He shrugged. We're working a case down here, a fire and some missing cargo out at the port. They're thinking Rosselli and his crew might have been involved on that one too. Would have been the same night. Not to say he couldn't be right for both, but that'd make for a busy evening. All right, well, this is what we were really here for. And now we've got confirmation that Rosselli is the suspect for this smuggling case. And on the same night. So I guess that also gives him an alibi. So Rosselli is doing the smuggling. Now, Rosselli and his crew. It's not clear to us how we would follow that up, but we're working a case down here. I don't know how we could get more information. I forget if we've already talked to Burke McGinty. He's mentioned from day one about this case. He's in charge of it. I assume we've already talked to him in the Hollywood division. I'm pretty sure we have. Yeah, we have. But the only unfortunate thing here is our hunch was right that this guy would know something about the smuggling and who did it. He's told us that Rosselli is the prime suspect for the smuggling thing. Unfortunately, he hasn't given us another lead to follow through with that. We may have to rack our brains for thinking how we would pursue that. It almost looks like it's not a side case as we thought, but merely an alibi. What do you think about that? Like Anna says, yes, side case confirmed. Yes, except now I'm thinking it's not really a side case. Like they figured it out that that the gangsters did good for this smuggling. I wonder if we're not going to figure anything out, but simply use it as an alibi. On the other hand, how can we use it as an alibi when this guy is saying himself, hey, he probably couldn't do it on the same night, but maybe he could. So it's not really a great alibi if you could have. And unless we can actually track it down and confirm that that's what they were doing. Maybe there is a way to confirm that they were involved in that. Missing cargo out at the port. Is there really no way for us to find this port? Like, we would like to talk to the people at the port. All right, well, there's still other people that might know about that. Maybe we're going to hear from them soon. Jonathan's submarine chain might be more to follow up. Yeah, but it's eventually going to alibi him. I think I agree with that. All right, let's see our other informant here that Naomi is going to visit. Will. Limehouse, the bar, could only exist in Los Angeles, a Chinatown nightclub named after an area of London where the Brits would get high on Chinese opium. Inside, it's an English pub decorated with every piece of Oriental flair you can imagine. Oddly inspired, bizarre, and theatrical. Rudy Cobb always sat in the back of the club near the rear exit. It wasn't that he liked the table, it was so that he could bolt out the back at any sign of trouble. I know, because I used to like to sit back there myself. By the time I saw him, he was already raising his glass, calling me over. As I sat down, he grinned wide. Ain't seen you around in forever, Poe. You here hoofing it for night, or are you looking for some action? I got a place uptown. All cased out, you'd be in and out like... I don't do that anymore, Rudy, I said. Though, if I'm honest, the idea made me flush a little. I'm here for night. If you can help, I'll make it worth your while. I briefly explained the case. Then I threw out every significant name we'd come across. York, her mother, her sister, Stanton, Kenner, McGinty, and so on. I've known Rudy a while, and the nice part about talking to him is that he was twitchy enough. If something caught his attention, it'd show. But he didn't exactly react to any of the names until the last one, Nick Rosselli. Oh, hell, Poe. You watched out for that one, hothead. You watch out for that one. Hothead goes way off the track sometimes. He for sure could have popped that tomato. Have you heard anything along those lines? Nah, Nick and his mooks have been pretty quiet lately, but they ain't hitters anyhow. What I hear, they're looking to move a bunch of H, like pure uncut stuff, straight out of Burma. Don't know where they got it though. Well, there's our side case. Straight out of Burma, uncut H. That's our heroin being smuggled in. Well, that's wrapped up our little side case pretty well. I picked at him a bit more, but he didn't have anything else. I gave him a 5 and left him sipping his very flat beer. All right, so Naomi used her charm and her connection to get the inside information that Nick Rosselli and his gang did indeed smuggle heroin from Burma. That's good confirmation. Now, it doesn't give him an alibi. It doesn't confirm his alibi. It doesn't confirm that he personally was there. But it does confirm that he was the smuggler at that port. Okay, let's catch up on the chat and decide where we want to go next. None of those leads really gave us any... They didn't really open up anything else new to do, though. We don't know any of Rosselli's gang. We don't know... We don't know how to find who... We're sort of at a dead end here. Let's check our records and see if there's any place we haven't gone to yet that we want to. But we're in an odd situation now where we lost Julio, and he was our prime guy, and I'm a little worried. We found out what we were smuggling, so we did solve that side case. They thought maybe it's guns, maybe it's heroin. It's heroin. John says, I believe there's still one lead from Stoddard's, the occasional weekend worker. Yes, there is. Mitch Kester, South S53. All right, let's make a new list of our next potential places. So I'm going to make a list for potential turn 10 stuff. Okay, so we have Mitch Kester. That's South 53. That's Stoddard's. It might be time to get those free hot dogs from the newspaper. We have the photographer who... Photographer from the Herald Express. That was the wife of the DA, remember? He's the one who got into a fight with the DA. But we've pretty much cleared the DA. Okay, so we do have the Del Rey Club. The Del Rey Club is where the stars went to party. And there was some concern that that might give us a clue about pointing to one of her co-actors. There's still the ex-husband that I thought might know information about. I know where I want to go. There's someplace I want to go today. I want to go to the life insurance company. I can see the game saying, why would you want to go there? But there's one entry in the phone book for life insurance, and I'm really curious to see if Poppy took out a life insurance policy. Remember that this was fully premeditated. She's been poisoning her for weeks. So Joe Stanton was at the Del Rey Club, so he's kind of an alibi. We might go there just to clear that up. We might revisit the Poppy clue once again just to see if we can catch any other information. We also could visit Exterminator to get confirmation about that. So, yeah, we met Burt McGinty. Did we already go to the Knickerbocker Club? I'm just going to write it down. I think we must have already gone to. I'm going to put a question mark. I've got it in my notes, but it's not clear exactly why. I'm looking through for other places we didn't go. So Rosselli had a... There's also neighbors of Violet, but we don't really... Well, that's not true. We know she was poisoned, and we know how she was poisoned, but we don't know who smashed her in the head and why. I assume that that's Poppy doing some combination of trying to cover up that she was killed by poison and getting out her anger at her sister. But wow, there are not many more places to go. Handsome Johnny or Son Nick. I'm going to write down the ADA photographer because I don't think that's of interest, but there aren't that many places even left that we know of to go to. All right, so I definitely want to go to the insurance company just for a shot in the dark. The game may say, why do you want to go there? If we look up Rosselli, do we have an address for him? There's no direct address for Rosselli. Any advertisements in here? Cars, cemetery. The real thing that could really help us would be is if we could figure out where Julio would have driven off to. It makes sense that he would try to meet up with Violet, but where would he meet up with Violet that we haven't been? Okay, let's think in the chat. John says, here's a weird thing. I believe when we talked to Julio's boss, he said he delivered the night of the murder to Violet. So did he just do the head smash? Did the police just not investigate if he had a motive? Do we know timeline of the murder? Where's our auth medical report? Where's our timeline summary? Early on, not enough blood, clothes strewn about, 8x8 ashtray, the murder weapon, injury on the right side of her head. Head bashed in, losing her hair, no cause of death until the lab report. Okay. Barbiturate. What was our conclusion about the barbiturate? They were hers? I believe we concluded the barbiturates were hers. Where's our amobarbital prescription was prescribed to Violet. Okay. What's our... Okay, so the delivery boy from Stoddard's did deliver to her at 8 p.m. He was the last person to see her. So that's our notes say 8 p.m. was the delivery, I believe. And what do we think the time of death was from the medical report? They should have good notes of that, so I don't know what our excuse is for not having that written down. Something's fishy, poison. Where is our timeline of when she was killed? Let's see what our newspaper says. Beaten to death early this morning. No signs of forced entry. Signs of struggle. Were we never told the time of death? That can't be right. What does the chat say? So I think we know Julio delivered at 8 p.m., but do we know? Do we have a time of death? We visit the ME. He's waiting for a report from the lab. Talk to Bert McGinty. Then there's the lab report. Violet York murder. Hannah's run some tests. She was poisoned. But we still don't have a timeline. Then we visit her. Mr. Hutchinson from the studio she's waiting for. I want us to go and read what her Hollywood studio guy said too, in case he's got some clue where she is. Why do we not have a timeline? Or why do we at least not have a page saying that the timeline could have been any time that night? And why does the ME not try to identify a timeline? Seems like someone should be asking what the timeline is, if nothing else. Jonathan says, I feel this is an issue we've had with both cases where it doesn't seem to give us a time of death. I'm not even bothered that it doesn't give us a time of death. I'm bothered that no one's even asking for time of death. Like, don't you think someone should be curious what the time of death was? Now, what was the Knickerbocker Club? Why? And one more thought before I forget. We confront Julio. He jumps out of his window and we hear a car screech off. Knickerbocker Hotel. Okay, we went there. We hear a car screech off. Are we assuming that Julio has a car and got in it and drove off? That makes most sense. But the fact that he's a delivery driver for Stoddard's, is it possible he boosted a car? And then if we found where he took it from, we could put out an APB for that car? Jonathan was looking at it from the other angle. He said, I was thinking he might look for other small item delivery services. If Julio did own his own car, he could have worked multiple jobs. All right. This is an interesting, my gut tells me that we aren't going to figure this out. But you could say maybe we should go to that other delivery guy for Stoddard's. He might have a clue, and that might be, you know, what he might be able to say about one guy having a car. And what about our other Dean Conkle that we went to? Dean Conkle's apartment, student affairs. She talked about Julio. She was one of his regulars. He liked her. I even saw him with a girl one time that looked a lot like her. That's an interesting comment there. I saw her, oh yeah, right. I saw her with a girl that looked like her. That's because he's dating the sister. Alright, so he didn't give us any information though. So we could visit the other delivery guy who works weekends. We don't think he's going to have any information, but it's at least a long shot that he might tell us whether that guy had a car or not. If we look where Julio lives, it's S27. So S27 is here. I guess we did not mark it in. This is kind of important because this is how we notice when things are near. So there's S27. So here's where Julio lived that we just got in. I'm going to mark the others too. M56 is Naomi. One, 65, where's 56 there? Okay. All right, so an M84 is Bev. All right, so if this is where Julio lives, he's next to the cemetery. He's next to the cemetery, and there's an ad for the cemetery. In the paper? Is it? No, not in the paper, but in the directory. Inglewood Park Cemetery. So he lives next to the cemetery, the country club. Now, I just want to look if there are car sales near him. So he's at S27. There's used cars at S13, which is here. That's pretty far away. But that's the closest one. There's an S59 also. Where's that? S59 is over. Looks like maybe over here. Here. So the closest used sale, let's see, there's an auto service at S42. So we've got car here at S13. And then S42 and S31. Okay, right across the way from him is a automobile mechanic. That's intriguing, huh? Boy, that's a long shot, but it's not even old auto sales, though. But it's across the street. That intrigues me. I'm just trying to think of how to get a hold of him now that we've lost him. Anna Maria and Jonathan are chatting about delivery guys. There was 2 delivery guys that worked normal days and 1 extra guy who worked weekends. No, I'm trying to, I guess Violet's not really hiding from us, so it's not a matter of finding Violet, is it? She's not really hiding. Poppy is waiting for Mr. Hutchinson of Champion Studios H11. I just want to see when we went to H11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm just curious about this again, because this was the last time we were trying to track down Poppy, the sister. He's on the mailbox. He has a brand new 46 Alfa Romeo. Cherry red paint job. We say, I want to talk to you about Poppy. He says, what the hell has she done now? Nothing. Just want to know about your relationship. He says, I'm a producer. We don't have a relationship. I'm just her minder. We're hosting her at the Knickerbocker, which we went to. That's when we talked to him. Consolation. She believes she deserves it. Can't act. She could be the next Olivia de Havilland, but I'd never hire her. Petty or vindictive person. Okay, well, that doesn't really help us. So, if we could figure out where Julio might go, though, that would be amazing. But maybe we're not meant to. Is there a DMV or a Bureau of Motor Vehicles? Well, that's a good question. Let's see who else we have as our informants that we haven't been to. We've got a reporter at the Examiner. Slee's involved. We've got an attorney. We've got a reporter for the Daily Variety, Diet of Hollywood News, Gossip, and Rumors, and we've got a clerk at the Hall of Records. So I think it might be time to go to the Hall of Records. Either maybe we can maybe it's a general thing for who owns a car. Maybe we can find Poppy's ex-husband that we're definitely looking for. What about, let's check government offices here. Chamber of Commerce, City Hall, District Attorney, Hall of Records. That's from our informants there. We've got switchboards. We've got the LAPD Southern Division. S43, I guess that would be where Julio hangs out. Motor Vehicle Department. That's interesting. We have a motor vehicle department. M2. No, sorry, M63. That's not an informant, but it is a place. That seems like a natural place to go first. Motor vehicle department. And then if he doesn't own a car, then we pursue the idea that he may have stolen it from across the street. That makes a lot of sense to me. First, we hit the motor vehicle. If he doesn't have a car, we see if he took it from next door. We could even try doing both on today's thing, and one of them it may tell us nothing. Okay. I'm liking this, and I'm liking, like, it's because we're thinking about this so hard that we could have a chance of finding Julio. So motor vehicle department is M63, and then we've got next door to Julio is S31 auto. All right. And I want to go to the insurance company. Life insurance is M54. And then we've got the other worker is S53. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 good candidate places. And then a couple other loose ends. Are there any other Ramirez now that we know Julio's last name? I don't believe so. I believe we checked this and didn't found it, but let's check it again. Yeah, no Ramirez. Although you could guess that maybe you should be looking at ads like, what if his father owns a car dealership? Here's another insurance company, but I guess we don't need to go to 2. All right, so now we've got 4 places. One of them is a giant long shot, that's S31, and another one is M54, the life insurance. Both of those could say there's nothing there. So my suggestion is that we try the third delivery guy, the life insurance company, and the motor vehicles. And if the life insurance complains that this isn't a place that you should want to go to, we'll try next door to Julio. If that also complains, then we'll try someplace else. Some order of that. Another long shot might be the local police if they were the ones that interviewed Julio. Yes, I mean, I guess I will add long shot South Police. Let's see where they were. Southern Division is S43. Maybe exterminator. Okay, so life insurance, the motor vehicles, or we could try to hit the motor vehicles You could make a case that we should try to do both of the weird ones, the auto place next door to Julio and the life insurance company, on the assumption that the game will probably tell us no, you can't go to those places. Oh, and then we also have the Hall of Records, which we are curious about. The nice thing about it is that we think the game will complain if we try to go to one of these places and it's not there. Jonathan Jenks suggested the Latin newspaper. Yeah, we thought about that. But we did think about that in the beginning when we were really looking for Julio. I think what we did, though, was we decided that it was too big of a long shot. Like, he's a delivery guy with a Latin name. That's pushing it to think that the newspaper is going to know about him. I'm not saying we wouldn't go to it if we ran out of other leads. All right, so we've got some good leads here, some very good leads I'd like to do. The only question I have is if you have preference for whether we should do the long shots that it will probably reject, or maybe we do one long shot this time and one long shot next time. Let's do this. This is how we do it. Okay. We have to, when we get into these situations, we have to role play. Okay, so here's our role play. He's just gotten in his car. He's trying to escape, right? So all our efforts have to be on finding that car before we lose the trail of it. So I'm going to suggest we go to motor vehicles and we try to go next door at the same time. Probably it'll tell us there's nothing next door, but we can't afford to waste time. If he did steal that car, we need to get APB out immediately on him. The life insurance company can wait. We're in no rush for that. The delivery guy, we would want to get to him while his memory was a little bit fresh. So, yes, let's send Bev to the repair shop. Exactly right. Now, probably the game's going to not let us go there, but let's try it. Okay, Bev to the repair shop. That's her side business. So that's S31. This is repair, car repair near Julio, which is probably going to complain about. And then let's send... let's send Bill McKnight to the motor vehicles. Maybe Naomi could talk someone out, but I feel like Naomi's the best person to send to the delivery guys since she can charm the kids. Like, they'll fall for her. So I think Bill McKnight to the motor vehicles. He's probably feeling guilty about letting Julio escape, so it makes sense that he heard the car. He would be the one to think about going to motor vehicles. Maybe he has enough pull to get them to talk to him. So Bill McKnight is going to motor vehicles. We'll just call that DMV. And then Naomi, the charmer, is going to go talk to Mitch Kester, the last delivery guy. I think she talked to the previous one too, so it makes sense. Mitch Kester. Stoddard. He's the Stoddard weekend delivery guy. Okay, let's put these in. And I suspect it's going to say one or more of these doesn't want to give us. But let's see. As Jonathan says, it will be really cool if we actually get a hit on Julio's car, because we almost gave, in fact, we did give up on Julio. We started messing with gangsters. Like, maybe we should have thought harder about how to catch Julio. We just couldn't think of how to catch him, but I like these. Okay, here we go. So Knight goes to M63, the DMV. Naomi goes to S53 to talk to the weekend delivery guy. We don't think he has any direct knowledge, but he might know something about Julio. He might know what kind of car he drives. He might have seen something. We don't know. And then Bev is going next door to the auto mechanic place right next door to where Julio lives. And if I had to guess, I'd guess that it's going to say S31, why would you go there? But let's find out. Here we go. Yeah, M63, the DMV, it doesn't want us to go to. I say it doesn't want us to go to it, but that's our interpretation. It could be wrong. It says, it's not telling us we can't go there. So just to make sure I haven't typed anything wrong, the Motor Vehicle Department M63. Well, we very logically would go to the Motor Vehicle Department. So maybe if there's any of all the things we've done so far, this would be the one that would be worth us typing in that we want to go there. But if it lets us go to the next door auto place, then it's okay for us not to go to motor vehicles. So I'll tell you what let's do. Let's go to the insurance company instead of M63 and see if it now also complains about S31. So I'm going to reload this, and I'm going to say instead of going to the DMV, I'm going to send him to the life insurance company. 54. Sorry, not 54. Life insurance is M54. I want to see if it complains about the neighbor, the automotive shop, S53 and then S31. If it doesn't complain about Bev going to the next door auto shop, then I think we're home free. And that's how we'll find the car. But I'd be surprised if it doesn't complain now about S31. Here we go. Yeah, there's S31. All right, that's unfortunate. So it's not going to let us find Julio. It's not going to let us go to the DMV. It's not going to let us go next door to look if he stole a car. Doesn't want us to find that car. I don't like that. That rubs me the wrong way. Well, we have an option here. Oh, let me point out that it did let us go to the life insurance company. It did let us go to the life insurance company. That's been my theory for a while, that we're going to catch her with life insurance on her sister. All right, we have a choice now to make. We're going to throw away S31. We're not going to worry about that. That's just nothingness. We could type in that the reason we want to go to M63 is because there's a DMV there and we should be able to look up Julio's car. That would be something that we'd be justified doing, but probably we'll just get no good answer from it. Or we could spend that turn going to, for example, the Del Rey Club or one of our informants for the clerk of Hall of Records. Shall we do that? Yeah, let's go to the Hall of Records. That's what Jonathan Jang says. So let's go to the Hall of Records. But I think at some point we might want to say, put into the machine that we should have been able to go to the DMV. But we'll go to the Hall of Records. Maybe they'll have information. Okay, so we're going to reload this. So now, do we want to send... So we can't send him to the DMV or S31. Okay, so I'm going to make a note here, just so we have our records. M68 and S31, DMV and nearby auto refused. I'm warning us, though, that it doesn't say you can't put that in. It just says you have to tell it why. It wouldn't be... I think our gut is right, but it wouldn't be insane if the game is going to make it a little harder by making you say why you want to go there. Like, what if it's just to throw us off the trail? But we can come back to these if we, by the time we get to the end. It makes sense for us not to go there now. So instead, we sent Bill McKnight. We want to send Bill McKnight to the... Who do we want to send to the informant, and who do we want to send to the life insurance company? I think we should change it. I think we should change... I like sending Naomi places because she's a charmer and she lies, and Bev sort of just pushes her way in with force. So I think what I'd like to do is send Naomi to... We should send Bill to the life insurance company. Bill to the life insurance, yeah. Because they'll talk to him like, they'll be like, he'll go in there and he'll say, this dame is trying to kill off her sister and collect the money, and the guy who's working there will sympathize. So the life insurance was M54. Okay, so Bill McKnight is going there. Okay, and then we originally had Naomi going to the kid delivery driver. That would put Bev going to the Hall of Records, but I think we should flip that. I think we send Naomi to the Hall of Records, and let's try sending Bev to the delivery guy. So I think that's what we're going to do. So Bev is going to go to S53, which is Mitch Kester, the weekend delivery guy. And then Naomi can try to talk her way into getting into the Hall of Records. See if she can't talk her way into getting some records. That's Faye Williams. I changed my mind. I know this is silliness, but I feel like Naomi could make another woman a little bit catty. I kind of feel like if Naomi goes and tries to talk to Faye Williams, if we didn't know who it was going to be at the Hall of Records, send Naomi. But I think Naomi does her best when she's chatting up a guy. And Faye Williams sounds like a sort of flirty woman working at the Hall of Records. And I'm worried about sending Naomi there. So I'm just going to reverse that. I'm going to send Naomi to the life insurance company. She'll think of some scam. It also makes sense. Whenever we need to trick someone to giving us information, we got to send Naomi. So Naomi will go to the insurance company where she might have to get information she's not allowed to have. So that's M54, life insurance. And Bill McKnight can go in and try to charm the woman. Okay, I'm sorry for drawing that out, dragging that out, and doing that to you guys. But we have to play this as if these things mattered. But doesn't it make sense that we send Naomi when we need to get information we're not allowed to have? Because she charms and tricks them. And she's more likely to be able to charm a guy, too. And the insurance company, we don't know who runs that, but it could be a guy. Whereas we know that the Hall of Records is Faye, some contact that Bill McKnight has. The contacts are Bill McKnight's contacts anyway, so it makes sense we would send him to his contacts. And yeah, that makes more sense. That makes more sense. And then we're just sending Bev for muscle. Hall of Records. Okay, I like this a lot. I like this a lot. Okay, here we go. Sorry for second guessing all that. But okay, W38, Bill McKnight, he's going to the Hall of Records. Naomi is going to the life insurance company to see what she can get out of them, charm them, trick them into giving her information about whether Poppy took out life insurance on her sister. And then Bev is going to put the muscle on this weekend driver to see if he can tell us anything else. Here we go. All right, that's it. It's sent. I'm a little salty about not being able to go to the DMV. It was a great idea, and it seems completely logical that we hear him driving off. We should be able to find out if he owns a car. And I thought finding the auto shop right next door, that could have been a brilliant discovery, but it was wasted. It's probably that we're not meant to ever find him in his car, but it hurts a little because we should be at least able to look for it. And Bill McKnight let him get away. He should feel guilty and try to find him. Jonathan says, I believe Anna said she thinks we might be done with the case. I kind of agree since we could not find the car. Might just be a couple of turns left. I mean, I'm in agreement with all this. That we probably know enough. I think the way I would say it is, I think we're just about with both cases, maybe at the point where we'll open that envelope and see what the envelopes contain, see what the questions are. Jonathan Jang is not quite convinced, though, that we haven't found a motive. I think we've got first of all, we're going to get the motive at that life insurance policy. That's been my idea for a while, that she's going to have taken out money. But she didn't like her sister, we know that. She wants her career and her life, we know that. And if she took out a life insurance policy, there's that. I think there's also a little psychological issue with the mother. I think she thinks the mother liked Violet best, and it's Mother's Day that this murder happened. I think she's got some anger issues there. I wish we could talk to her. Maybe at the Hall of Records, we're going to find her ex-husband. All right. That was interesting. I know it seems crazy, but I sort of enjoyed that last part where we were trying to figure out who to send where and why. Excuse me, first time sneezing on the channel in 2 years. Okay. Let's, I guess we'll end it here just because these sessions go on so long. Anyway, I could chat about this for another half hour, but collect your thoughts if there's stuff you still want to talk about. Write them down. We can talk about them at the start when we get the next turn of the game, which will hopefully be in another week. And in this coming week, we'll probably play a game of West End Adventures and try my new OBS plugin to see how that works. Look for the video demonstrating that as well. This was fun. I actually enjoyed today's session of the LA.Noire case, although I really don't like that we couldn't go to the DMV. We think we have yet, it's a little dangerous. I will say this. It is a little dangerous that every time we put in one of these places and it says there are multiple things you want to go there, tell us why, it's a little risky that we are never doing it. One of these times we have to try it and see what happens. So before this game ends, we are going to have to try to go. I think we'll try the DMV. Of all the places we've gone to that it says, are you sure you want to go there? The DMV is the one that, yes, I'm sure. So we'll try that before we finish this game. All right, guys. I'll see you next time.